Hi there, this is Solitary Ronan from Solitary Ronan Films, and welcome to another episode of 6 of the Best, where I pick an actor and give you my favourite 6 of their performances and or films. But again, this is more about your chance to give me your favourite performances and or films from an actor. And today is Frances McDormand. Married to Joel Coen. Obviously she has appeared in quite a few Coen Brothers films, even small parts like in Miller's Crossing, for example. But she is wonderful in her own right. I'm going to say something controversial, but in my opinion, and again my opinion is not fact, I think female actors who are not conventionally Hollywood attractive, whatever that means, generally have more interesting and longer careers than female actors who are conventionally Hollywood attractive, whatever that means. Because obviously Hollywood sometimes can be a little bit shallow. Again, that might come as a shock. But the first film I'm going to pick is Blood Simple. The Coens' wonderful debut. And there's Frances McDormand with long hair, looking young and impressionable. This is a terrific debut and a terrific neo-noir, just fantastic performances all round, including McDormand. It's just a fantastic debut. Next is obviously probably our most famous role. That's of course Fargo. Not my favourite Coen Brothers film, but certainly probably in the top 5. And I don't know, did McDormand win an Oscar? I have no idea. I don't really follow Oscars that much anymore. But she's absolutely wonderful in this film. She is the emotional core as Marge. Is it Gunderson? That might be wrong. Female police officer. She is tenacious. She goes after William H. Macy, who's a bit of a doofus, expertly, and the final scene in the car is just absolutely beautiful. The final scene in the film, when she gets home, her relationship with her husband, the way she can kind of leave work at home. It's just a wonderful film and an even better performance by McDormand. Next, I had to crowbar it in somehow. Lone Star by John Sayles. Now this is an example of an actor having one scene in a film but making the most of that scene. Now because it's Sayles, obviously it's written beautifully, not that I'm biased. It's very much like Christopher Walken in Pulp Fiction, for example, or Christopher Walken in True Romance, for example, or Alec Baldwin in Glengarry Glen Ross. She plays Bunny, Chris Cooper's estranged ex-wife who has issues, shall we say. She's obsessed with football, or American football. She's also obsessed with the state of Texas. As John Sayles alluded to, that's why that was one of his most popular films, because it was set in Texas and Texans love films about Texas. So she loves Texas football, regardless of whether it's high school, college, NFL. In her scene, I think she's wearing a Troy Aikman Dallas Cowboys #8 jersey. She's wearing a Houston Oilers cap. And she talks about, prospects coming out of college and how much they can bench press. And she has a wonderful line about, there's this kid who can bench press whatever it is, 375 pounds or something. And she asks Chris Cooper, can you imagine how much weight that is on your chest? And of course she's not talking about the football player, because she has issues. So it's one of those scenes that the characters are talking about something, but they're actually talking about something else. It's just a wonderful one scene performance. You, in your mind, you go, obviously this woman has got problems, but by the end of the scene you do feel empathy for her, and it's just a great performance. Next is one of my favourite films of the 2000s, from the year 2000, Almost Famous by Cameron Crowe. And in this, Frances McDormand has a fairly thankless role as the mother of the kid who goes to become a music journalist. So we see the early days where she's kind of trying to keep them away, both her son and daughter, away from drugs and away from that bad music where they talk about drugs. She is coming from a good place, even though she's perhaps a little bit militant in it. The fact that they got to the stage of celebrating Christmas in September when it's not as commercialised. And she then, as the boy, he never really grows up because he's kind of underage throughout the whole film. We just get telephone inserts from her as she's trying to talk to her son. So again, it's not, the best role as far as screen time, but again, she just makes the most out of it. She's just really good as she talks to not only her son, but not always her son. It's usually some of the other people involved with following the bands around the country. But again, it's just a great performance, taking every advantage of your screen time, but not being showy or over the top, because McDormand is never showy or over the top. You generally believe everything she does in all of her films. Next is a film that is over the top, but not necessarily McDormand being that over the top. It's Burn After Reading by the Coens. Now, I really didn't like this film the first time I saw it, but on multiple watches you kind of appreciate it more, especially the last few lines of the film, which are absolutely fantastic. McDormand plays a kind of hopeful woman who works in a gym alongside Brad Pitt, who plays a wonderful idiot. And she desperately wants to make something better of her life, wants to meet somebody, she's striving for something else. So she's not as dim. She's perhaps naive, but she's not as dim as Brad Pitt's character. I'm not sure many people could be as dim as Brad Pitt's character, which he does brilliantly, to be fair. But even though there's loads of stories and characters, John Malkovich and Tilda Swinton, and it kind of goes in different directions, but McDormand's character is kind of the base for the film, where all this madness comes off. Her meeting George Clooney, the scene where she is shown George Clooney's device that he keeps in the basement, is just absolutely comedy gold. It's just absolutely wonderful. So for the last pick, something a bit different, because we all know McDormand can do quirky and funny and naive and things like that. I'm going to talk about Three Billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri, where she plays a mother of a woman who was raped and killed. So you can understand, because the culprit hasn't been found, so you can understand why she's angry, but she generally is a character who is frustrating and won't kind of meet anybody halfway, is quite aggressive, quite abrasive, and we haven't seen that too often in McDormand's career. We've seen kind of strong characters, but this character perhaps goes over the line of being strong. Again, there's valid reasons for that, but it is a fascinating performance by her, because it's McDormand, you kind of want to like her because it's McDormand, but then she does kind of do things that you kind of go, yeah, I don't actually like you that much. It's a really good performance. Again, I don't know if she won the Oscar, I can't remember. Possibly, I don't know, I'm sure somebody will tell me. Really good film. Again, that's Martin McDonagh. I still haven't seen Nomadland. I still haven't seen that one, but I'm sure I'll get around to it at some point. So that's my 6th the best for Frances McDormand. Please let me in the comments. Please let me in the comments. Please let me know in the comments. Yeah, I think I have access to the comments. Please let me know in the comments what your 6 favourite Frances McDormand films are, or even what your favourite Frances McDormand or performance is. And hopefully you'll join me again for more 6 of the best. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying farewell.